Hello and welcome to Two Queens, Two Crowns. I am your host, KJ Miller, founder, lecturer, and content creator. And for today's bonus episode, I want to talk about some queens, some Grammy queens. Yes, I want to talk about the queens of the Grammys, the ladies who I believe will be nominated for Album of the Year. And I also want to talk about who I think might win Album of the Year. I just have been so floored by the amount of good music we have gotten this year from our queens, from Beyoncé, from Taylor, from Chapel, from Sabrina, from Tyla, from Ariana. The list goes on and on. We've gotten so much good music this year from the queens of the music industry. It really is a woman-dominated musical year as far as I'm concerned. And I am just excited to talk about it, to give you my thoughts, at least as they stand right now in August. And I'm also excited to hear what y'all think when we get this posted on social media. So buckle up. We're talking about the Grammys. Okay, so first and foremost, what I wanted to do with this episode is really talk about the 5 women who I think are most likely to receive Album of the Year nominations, and then to go into a little bit of detail for each album, my thoughts on the highs and the lows, and then at the end, wrap it up with a nice bow and give you my prediction for who is going to take home Album of the Year. I know the Grammys are several months out, but we did just end the period of eligibility. So we now have all the albums that are going to be eligible to get an Album of the Year nomination or any sort of Grammy nomination. Those have now been cemented, okay? The eligibility period for the Grammy Awards was September 16th, 2023 to August 30th, 2024, okay? So today's August 30th. I'm recording this on Friday, August 30th, which means if your album hasn't come out yet, it's not going to be eligible. It is not going to be eligible for this upcoming Grammy. And I'm just so excited because, like I said, I just feel like it is a year of music that has really been dominated by women. Now, I will just acknowledge, I have read a few articles saying that Chris Stapleton is probably the one and only man who might make it into the Album of the Year nomination category. And look, God bless Chris Stapleton, okay? I have not listened to his album. He seems like he's got a great voice. I know my husband loves him, actually. But if this man takes home Album of the Year Grammy in the year of our Lord, the year of women, okay? The year of Cowboy Carter, the year of Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, the year of Short and Sweet, absolutely not. I'm sorry. I don't know what he did on that album, okay? And it doesn't matter to me. A woman better go home with Album of the Year. But shout out to you, Chris. God bless. Okay, so let me start with the 5 women who I think are definitely going to be nominated. All right, first up, Beyoncé, obviously Beyoncé. If Cowboy Carter is not nominated for Album of the Year, let's all pack it up and go home, because Beyoncé gave us, she literally changed the country game. She changed the country game and brought so many other country artists to the forefront with her in the process, and gave us a duet with Miley Cyrus that nobody knew we needed. We'll get into it, but if they don't nominate Cowboy Carter, goodbye, good night, forever. All right, so that's number 1, Beyoncé for sure. Number 2, I do believe Taylor Swift is going to be in this Album of the Year contention. I do believe that. Now, I will say right off the bat, I'm a little skeptical that she is a real contender to win Album of the Year, only because she just won her 4th Album of the Year last year. I know she's a Grammys darling, but I think the Recording Academy, even they are probably a little bit feeling like, all right, girl. Okay, girl, we done gave you 4 of these things. We'll see. But I do think that the work deserves an Album of the Year nomination. It is such a strong body of work, particularly when we think about the lyrics. Production-wise, you guys know I have some qualms, but lyrically, I think it's some of the best songwriting she's done. She delivered so much music. 31 tracks, my God. I absolutely think that she will be nominated. Okay, the third person who I believe will absolutely be nominated is Billie Eilish. We know Billie is a Grammys darling. If you watched my video review of her. And actually, I think we did a podcast episode about it too. Yes. I'm pretty sure we did. If you listen to the podcast episode or watch the YouTube video, my review of Billie Eilish's album, and again, we'll get into it in a bit more depth, I thought it was a bit mixed. I did. However, the Grammys love when you only have 1-2 folks on an album, okay? And she and her brother Phineas are the only credited writers on the entire album, and they love that. I do think she's a shoo-in for getting a nomination, absolutely. Fourth, Chappell Roan. I mean, this album, the way this album, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, the way this album has exploded onto the scene and into pop culture, her meteoric rise in the last year. If they didn't nominate this album for Album of the Year, what does it even mean? Okay, because it has taken over the clubs, it's taken over the schools, it's taken over the hair salons. You cannot go anywhere without hearing Pink Pony Club. So absolutely, I believe that album is going to be nominated. And then the final one that I think is truly a shoo-in is Sabrina Carpenter's. She got it in under the wire. It is short and sweet. And this is also her 6th studio album. She's never been nominated before. I think there is a feeling that in the industry, like this is Sabrina Carpenter's moment. This is her time. I think they're going to want to recognize that. So in my opinion, those are the 5 albums that will definitely be nominated for Album of the Year. Now, a few honorable mentions because we do have 8 slots, so there will be a few more beyond those 5. Who do I think those will go to? I believe Ariana Grande will get a nom for Eternal Sunshine. My personal opinion is there's no world in which she wins. I don't think that album was strong enough. I know a lot of Ariana Grande fans feel like it is her best work to date. And I'm really not going to fight you on that because I did listen to Eternal Sunshine, but I have not listened to her other albums in their entirety. Maybe it is. For me, I don't feel like there was anything really very innovative about the album. I thought her vocals were obviously beautiful. She has a beautiful voice, but I think she could have pushed herself more. For me, it was kind of meh, and it would be shocking to me. I think she'll get a nom. She's Ariana Grande. It would be shocking to me if she had a real chance at winning. The other person who I think has a real shot at getting Album of the Year nomination is Tyla. However, like Ariana, while I do think she has a real shot at being nominated, I don't think she's got a great chance at winning. Part of that is because I just don't think the Recording Academy is well-versed enough in Afrobeats or Amapiano, I think is the South African word for the type of music she makes. If I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize. I don't think they're well-versed enough to appreciate the differences in sound we are getting from the different songs on that album. I will say for me, a lot of the songs sound quite similar because I, too, don't think I'm well-versed enough in Afrobeats. And if I'm not well-versed enough, I definitely don't think they are. Not to say there's anything wrong with that. Like, I think she was delivering a specific sort of sound, but I don't think there was enough variation for her to be a serious contender to win Album of the Year. But I do think she will be nominated. And then, of course, that last slot, a lot of people are saying will go to Chris Stapleton. They're not going to let it be entirely run by women, and I agree with that, but like I said, I didn't listen to it, and no sir, I'm sorry sir, okay, this is the year of the women. Okay, a woman is going to take home Album of the Year, and a woman is going to be president. Now let's talk about the albums. Okay, and I'm going to talk about these albums in the order that they were released. And that brings us to Chappell Roan with The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. This album, like I alluded to, it just has had such a meteoric rise. When it was released in September of 2023, she obviously had a fan base. She has been working and building her fan base over the last decade. She's really been working at it. So she had a fan base, but it was so much smaller than the fan base she has now, okay? Most people, I would say, in the mainstream were not familiar with Chappell Roan. And the songs really spoke for themselves in a lot of ways. And I will also say the LGBT community, I think, went up so hard for this album. I think the gays and the theys, they were playing it every day, okay? Every night at the clubs, on the streets, in the pride parades. And they, I think, are the reason this pushed into the mainstream, because as we know, gay people and black people set the culture. Okay, that's just a fact. And we have the ability to take something that might seem niche and make it mainstream. And that's absolutely what I believe the LGBT community did with this album. They really stood behind Chapel and said, girl, we gonna make you a star. And I mean, I'm not giving them all the credit. Chapel made herself a star, but I really think she had that groundswell of support from the LGBT community. And they played it they were willing to ride it till the wheels fell off, honey, and pushed it into the mainstream. And I'm so glad they did, because I will say I am someone who it took so long. I really honestly didn't even start getting into Chapel until the last month. The album came out damn near a year ago. But I'm one of the people who jumped on the train because I just kept hearing it and finally said, all right, now let me give this little album a listen, because it just kept feeling like the walls were closing in on me with Chapel Roan. Like, at some point you're going to have to listen to her. And I did. And the music really grew on me. I will even say the first time I heard the album, it was actually my husband. We were in the car going somewhere and he was like, let's listen to Chapel Roan. And I was like, okay, fine, let's do it. And the very first time we listened to it, I don't know, maybe it was my mood that day, but nothing really stuck for me. I was just sort of like, okay, this is cool for what it is, but it's probably not for me. Then he tried again. Because my husband is resilient. He tried again, maybe a couple weeks later. So this would have been at the top of this month, August. Again, we were in the car. He put it back on. And this time around, more of the song stuck to me. I said, I like that. I remember Kaleidoscope, I really enjoyed. Pink Pony Club, obviously really enjoyed. And there were a couple others that I said, okay, all right, I see what we're working with here. And then it was really in the last week that I went and listened to the full album, and really started to appreciate what she was delivering in terms of fun and funky vocals, lyrics. It felt like she was giving the girls a dance album, a pop album, but also kind of giving the girls a little bit of a revival. And I will say, I'm sure I was swayed a little bit also by, seeing people on TikTok dancing to her and vibing to her and really feeling a bit of a almost renaissance, or I don't know. I feel like I kept seeing these videos of particularly people in the gay community loving this moment. And that did touch me. And I think made me feel that much more endeared to the album. I just think it is so fun and funky and new, right? In some ways it sounds new, and in some ways it sounds old, like throwback. I don't know. She's like writing that line really, really well. I think it is a very well crafted album with really strong vocals. Let's listen to a little bit of my favorite song and the world's favorite song at this point, Pink Pony Club. Oh, love, love, love. Like I said, that is my favorite song on the album. I think because it encapsulates that feeling I was talking about, that almost renaissance or a rebirth, or just like the joy of finally accepting who you are, and not just accepting, but celebrating who you are, the joy that comes from getting through that fear and just celebrating exactly who you are. That song, every time I hear it, honestly, I get a little bit emotional, and then I just want to dance. It's like, it's like a little bit of a party and maybe a little bit of a tear in my eye. I don't know. Something about that song. Oh, and I think it also, that applies to the album. It's like, I want to dance and cry. I want to cry while I dance. It's wild, y'all. It's wild, y'all. But she did that, and I'm so excited for her, and excited to have this music for the world and also for the LGBT community. So I think that it is such a phenomenal album and absolutely deserving of the AOTY nomination. All right, up next is Beyoncé. Her album was released in March of this year, and Cowboy Carter was such a cultural moment, such a historic moment for Beyonce to release. I know she said it's not a country album, it's a Beyonce album. Yes. But also, it's a country album. And it just wasn't what any of us were expecting from her coming after Renaissance, but it was so necessary and so just game changing, really and truly. And I have said this before, Beyonce reclaiming country music, a genre of music that really did originate with Black people in so many ways. It fills me with so much joy and so much pride. And I think that's really how I would describe this album as a whole. It filled me with so much joy, so much pride, so many of the songs. I mean, that opening, American Requiem, that song alone, to open an album that way, paint the picture of what America could be, should be, has fallen short of, but still has a chance to be, which is what I really think that song is about. Look at my bloodline. Look at where I've come from. Look at how we've been treated, but look where I've been able to land and what I've been able to achieve anyway. You know, the promise of America is unfinished, as people are fond of saying, but it doesn't mean the dream can't be realized. I feel like there's so much hope in that album, but also so much reality in that album, such a reclaiming of this genre and bringing so many other Black country artists to the forefront while she's making such a historic album is epic. I think Cowboy Carter is an absolutely epic and incredibly innovative album. You guys know this. We did a whole episode on it. We'd be here all day if I tried to say all the good things that I would want to say about this album, but I think she truly changed the game in so many ways in terms of flipping an expectation on its head. Texas Hold'em is just such a country song, and not even a modern country song. Texas Hold'em sounds like old school twang country song. And she topped the charts, topped the Billboard 100 with that song for weeks, but then also gave us a song like Yaya, where you have samples of the Beach Boys, where you have samples of, these boots are made for walking. And, yes, it sounds country, but it also sounds rock. And the influences in this album are too many to name and to count, but she ties them together so seamlessly. I think people underestimate how difficult that is to do. But let me tell you, the reason your other favorite artists aren't doing it is because they don't have the ability to. I'm sad to tell you, they simply don't. It's not an easy thing to take influences from so many different genres and tie them together as seamlessly as Beyonce has done. No, the average musician simply can't do it. Some of the best musicians simply can't do it, but Beyonce can, and she did. Now, I want to play one of my favorite songs from the album. It's too hard to say which song is my favorite song, but I will say this song really grew on me over months and months and months. Sweet Honey Buckin'. I think it's a perfect song. Let's listen to some of it.